you had outlets like Forbes saying, not that anyone should speculate on people's race, but this is the modern internet, and unfortunately, Arabella Stanton is instantly being put under a microscope for looking mildly not white, maybe? With them adding, we already see speculation based on her name. Arabella might be Greek, Stanton is English. But again, this is why these kids are going to need to be protected from what is no doubt going to be an awful internet discourse. And that sentiment is something we have seen echoed by others online. Ultimately, we're gonna have to wait to see how this plays out. This is largely adding fuel to an already existing fire, because there's already been controversy and discourse over the fact that the actor playing Snape in the TV reboot is black. But, with that, while we wait to see how this continues to play out, in the meantime, I'd love to know your thoughts on the casting and the controversy, or really anything here. But then, next up, did French President Emmanuel Macron just get smacked up by his wife on camera? Right, that is what many are asking, because they had just landed in Vietnam and were about to get off the plane when video caught her pushing his face. Right, in the video, you don't see Brigitte fully, just her hands, and Macron then sort of pauses and then waves it off once he sees the camera, with the two then later walking off the plane, with Macron walking out first and his wife following. Right, and we've seen a huge reaction to this, some people using it to make jokes and memes about Macron, though then you had others arguing that it's serious, writing, people will get lots of jokes off about Macron getting slapped by his wife, but real talk, if you're in a relationship where someone puts hands on you, leave. It's not normal and there's no excuse for it. People who love and respect you don't hit you. And imagine for one moment if Macron pushed his wife in the face like this. Imagine. Domestic abuse against men is common and widely ignored. All violence is unacceptable. Right, and then you had some noting that Macron's wife is over 20 years older than him, and they met when he was 15 and she was a teacher at his school, apparently growing close there while she oversaw a theater workshop. And then later you had them marrying when he was 29 and she was 54, and so you had some say. And if I say she's probably been abusing him like this and she groomed and preyed on him as a child when she was his teacher, then what? Right, and with all this video has especially gone viral in more right-wing circles where it's being used then to further spread conspiracies and rumors that Brigitte is trans. Right, something that a number of people have spread for a long time, though notably there it's important to note she did previously file a complaint against two people who spread that claim on YouTube, and she won money and damages. You then also in this situation had The Guardian noting it was likewise going viral among far-right French accounts, and it was promoted by Russian state media, with them pointing to a Russian foreign ministry spokesperson who shared the footage and equated the push to a right hook. And this whole situation got so much attention it prompted Macron to address the controversy, and he says that it's essentially being blown out of proportion, because you had Macron telling reporters that they were just bickering and joking around, which is something they often do, and adding, I'm surprised by it. It turns into some kind of global catastrophe where people are even coming up with theories to explain it. It's nonsense. With him then also suggesting that this is just the latest case of people trying to take clips of him out of context to spread conspiracies. Right, and that because earlier this month when he met with the German Chancellor and British Prime Minister, people saw a tissue on the table and started claiming that it was actually a bag of cocaine, within his office putting out a statement condemning the rumors and saying, when European unity becomes inconvenient, disinformation goes so far as to make a simple tissue look like drugs. This fake news is being spread by France's enemies both abroad and at home. We must remain vigilant against manipulation. Right, and then because that cocaine rumor was at least partially traced to pro-Russian accounts, a source from Macron's office told CNN that those same accounts were simply ready to pounce on and spin narratives around this latest video of Macron and his wife. But with that, if we just focus on this latest video and situation, I really would love to know your thoughts. Because, I try to be open and willing to hear all possibilities with the situation, but I don't know, looking at that video, that seemed a little more aggressive than some playing around. Like maybe it was I'm a little tipsy playing around and accidentally went a little too aggressive. And even then, I'm not saying that's what actually happened. It's just to act like it's crazy to raise an eyebrow to this video is ludicrous. Especially because, yeah, I agree with the sentiment that if the roles were reversed and you saw Emmanuel Macron do that to Brigitte, there would be a wildly different reaction to it. But hey, that's a story, then a little bit of my opinion, and I'll pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts? But then, shifting gears from that, the UK is now scrambling for answers after a 53-year-old man drove his car through a crowd in Liverpool yesterday, injuring nearly 50 people. Though with that, multiple sources have given conflicting numbers. So whatever the final number is, it feels miraculous that I only have to say injured, because it currently looks like no one was killed and the 11 people remaining in the hospital are in stable condition. And while the police are still trying to work through the whys of this situation, here's what we know. Thousands of people were out in the streets to take part in Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade, and at some point an ambulance had to get through the crowd to treat someone and a barrier was lifted to let them through, with then the 53-year-old following the ambulance to get past the roadblock before plowing through the crowd. Right, and with this situation, there is footage that is very easy to find that I unfortunately can't show on YouTube because it's YouTube, but you have many saying the footage makes it unclear whether it was an intentional attack or not. Or with some saying it looks like the guy got into the crowd and people started hitting the car and then he drives off into the crowd and it's unclear if he got into there on accident, meant to be there or what. But whatever the case may be with that, first-hand accounts make it clear that it is a miracle that no one died. Right, you had one guy telling the BBC, I saw a gentleman on the bonnet and the rest was just chaos. With him then going on to add, my partner went under the wheel and the car went over her leg. And it could have been a whole hell of a lot worse for him as his baby stroller was thrown like 15 feet down the road. Now with that said, going back to the 53-year-old driver, he's facing a ton of charges right now, including attempted murder, dangerous driving offenses, and driving while unfit through drugs. Or with those last two seeming to be analogous to reckless driving and a DUI. Now with that, as part of the investigation, you have investigators scouring CCTV footage to track the driver's movements to try and get a better idea of what led up to this. They're also urging the public to not speculate about a motive, and they highlighted that they're not treating this as a terror attack, although officially an actual motive is yet to be revealed. So as we wait for more there, as you can imagine, you have a lot of people reacting to the news. Or you got the King of England saying it is truly devastating to see what should have been a joyous celebration for so many could end in such distressing circumstances, saying our prayers and deepest sympathy are with all those who have been affected. You also had Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying,
scenes of joy turned to utter horror and devastation, and my thoughts and the thoughts of the whole country are with all of those that are affected.
And in a tweet, he wrote, the scenes in Liverpool are appalling. My thoughts are with all those injured or affected. I want to thank the police and emergency services for their swift and ongoing response to this shocking incident. And you also had Liverpool FC coming out to address the attack.
On behalf of all of us here at Liverpool Football Club, I would like to extend our heartfelt thoughts to all those who have been affected by this appalling incident on Water Street yesterday evening. This weekend was one of celebration, emotion, and joy spread across the city and our entire fan base. And it ended in unimaginable scenes and distress with this appalling incident.
With CEO Billy Hogan then going on to thank first responders, and then he ended with,
I would also like to thank our supporters who witnessed this event and helped each other where they could. We continue to work with the emergency services and the local authorities to support their ongoing investigation. And once again, we would ask if anyone has any further information about the incident, please contact Merseyside Police.
Right, and then in addition to all that, we saw this situation being used to fuel a culture war in the UK. Right, like when this attack was first reported, you started seeing things quickly, like in before they inevitably claimed that there was no clear motive, with a meme clearly showing they think it was a Muslim man. With then another writing, this is the worst attack in England, Liverpool, was the car driver from a specific community. Though that then led to others pushing back and saying, fucking hell, man, people have potentially died in Liverpool today, and the worst cunts in the world are absolutely licking their lips hoping the guy in the car is Muslim. What a fucking grim world we live in. Which then, on the note of race, once it was revealed that the driver was actually a white guy, it appeared that they moved the goalpost. Or with many of those same people saying they were outraged that the media highlighted that he was white, saying things like, it's insane that the media are relentlessly spouting the fact that the Liverpool attacker is white within 1 hour. But when it's a Muslim attacker, police wait days. Britain is full of Islamic apologists. But for now, as we wait for more information, I will just end this with saying, I'm so glad that it appears that no one was killed in this tragedy. Because in looking at the footage, hearing the first-hand accounts, it feels shocking that there's not a death count here. And then I've got more news for you in just a moment. But first, how many times have you had something weird going on with your body and you thought, it'll probably go away, but then also you Google it and you convince yourself you have maybe 6 hours to live? Or maybe you actually try to get help, but the next available appointment, it's 6 months out, 2 cities over, and they only take your insurance if Mercury's in retrograde. Or maybe it's just been a basic experience of feeling like more like a number than a person when you're sharing your private information with your doctor. Because yeah, I think we've all been there, and that's why I love ZocDoc. For today's sponsor, ZocDoc is the easy, most sane way to find and book a doctor. I personally used it myself. I still use it. It's fast, it's free, and it makes you wonder why it ever had to be so hard. Because ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Plus, they've got over 100,000 in-network doctors across every specialty: mental health, dental, primary care, urgent care, you name it. You can also search by location, availability, and insurance accepted, so you'll know upfront who takes your plan. And unlike the see you in 6 months crowd, many ZocDoc docs have same-day or next-day openings. So y'all stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Phil or scan the QR code to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil, ZocDoc.com/Phil. But then, in getting back to the news, we've got to talk about the Trump administration taking steps to end all federal contracts with Harvard, because that's what was outlined in a letter from the General Services Administration. Within sources also telling the New York Times that the directive was delivered to federal agencies this morning. And specifically, the letter instructs all federal agencies to review all their contracts with Harvard in order to terminate them or reallocate them to other entities. And even that is in addition to them encouraging agencies to seek alternative vendors for future services where you had previously considered Harvard. And as for the reasoning here, you had the GSA claiming that Harvard, quote, continues to engage in race discrimination, including in its admissions process and in other areas of student life. And claiming that the university, quote, has shown no indication of reforming their admissions process following the 2023 Supreme Court decision that overturned affirmative action and prevented schools from using race as a factor in admissions. admissions. Though very notably, there the letter provided no statistical evidence for that claim, and it only cited the fact that Harvard now offers what it described as a remedial math course, which the administration says is proof that the school is employing discriminatory factors instead of merit in admission decisions. And that, seemingly in reference to the fact that Harvard recently started offering a new introductory math course that aims to cover pandemic-related learning gaps. But then also, beyond that, you had the GSA alleging that troubling revelations have come to light regarding Harvard and